Sure, thank you. Well, my first question would be, I don't know when council got a chance to look at it, because council didn't get it till Thursday night at 9 o'clock. So it always strikes me as odd when someone says the council's had a chance to look at this, because I got mine Thursday night at 9 o'clock. So, hope you can hear me. First off, I agree with Councilmember Jennings that I am so pleased to have you here. Tonight was not a night I looked forward to, and as I walked in, my heart got a little bit higher. So thank you very much. To the city manager, I understand that when we threw this net out about a year ago, how many folks replied to our RFP?
Madam Mayor, through to Councilmember Crowe, two companies responded.
And of the two who replied, I assume that would be Abbott and Gateway. Did both of them meet the qualifications of the city?
Yes.
So both of them agreed to have 2 ambulances in the city 24 hours a day?
Abbott did not, but the RFPs were worded in such a way that there were opportunities to negotiate with both Abbott and with Gateway, which is what we did.
So at the end of the day, we had one company that met the qualifications of the city?
We had one company that we are choosing to recommend to City Council for this contract.
Thank you. Who participated in the selection process? If we started this back in July, August, September of 14, and now we're up here to Thursday night at 9 p.m. The mayor spoke highly of the due diligence process that went on, so I'd like to know what staff members participated in the due diligence process. And after the staff members are named, I'd like to know what citizens participated in the due diligence process.
Madam Mayor, I think that those are two separate questions. With respect to the...
we cannot hear you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will speak up. Is that better?
Yeah, that might.
Okay, I'm sorry. I believe that, let me give two separate responses to that. Number one, with respect to the staff recommendation, ultimately the city manager makes the recommendation to council. So it is my recommendation to council that we proceed along these lines. In terms of who was consulted with respect to staff throughout that process, I consulted with the director of finance, obviously with the fire chief, with the manager of human resources, with the police chief. Those essentially are the staff members that I consulted with. With respect to any citizens, and I believe that we covered this last year when we had the study session, Mr. Pace has been involved in working with the city, and Mr. McCarthy also provided some input as well.
Thank you very much. What is the status of mutual aid? What cities do we have mutual aid with at this time?
Madam Mayor, I'm going to defer to the fire chief on that.
Adam Long, Fire Chief. We have mutual aid with, it's actually a statewide mutual aid agreement, but we have mutual aid with all the surrounding communities, including St. Louis City. And this is mandated by the state.
So if I said Ladue, we're good?
Excuse me?
Ladue, we're good?
Ladue, yes.
Olivet?
Yes.
Clayton?
Yes.
Richmond Heights?
Yes.
Maplewood?
Yes.
When was the last time we made a call in Maplewood?
I can't answer that. I'm not really sure when the last time Maplewood was here.
Not Maplewood here, us there.
I can't answer that question. I don't have that information.
I'm just wondering, don't they have a private ambulance service as well?
Yes, they do, but we could have responded on fire or some other incident, but not a medical incident.
I think it would be interesting for all of council to know the number of times that University City firefighter paramedics have made an emergency medical transport call to a city that has private ambulance services. That'd be good information probably for council prior to this vote. In the due diligence process, hang on one second. Do we know what happens once we pass this, and if Gateway signs it? Do we know what happens to mutual aid?
Madam Mayor, through to Councilmember Crowe, mutual aid will continue for fire services.
So mutual aid will not be available for ambulance?
That's my understanding. I wanted to add one other party to the staff members that were consulted. I also consulted with the city attorney.
Thank you. So now we do at least have it confirmed that mutual aid on emergency medical transport will not be available. So the 2 ambulances from Clayton, the one from Ladue, the one from Olivet, and the one from Richland Heights will not be available to us. Who in the St. Louis metropolitan area currently uses Gateway for first response EMT services?
Madam Mayor, we have a list of departments that currently outsource their EMS services. I will. Okay, can you hear that? Is that better?
Yeah, don't mumble.
Okay, I will speak louder, okay? We have a list of the departments in St. Louis County that currently outsource EMS services, some with Abbott, some with Christian, and some with Gateway. Crestwood with Abbott, Glendale with Abbott, Maplewood with Abbott, Rock Hill with Abbott, Berkeley with Christian, Northeast, Blackjack with Christian, Ferguson with Christian, Metro North with Christian, Mid-County with Christian, Riverview with Christian, Spanish Lake with Christian, Community and Northeast provide their own EMS, but use Gateway as a backup.
So does Gateway provide any emergency medical transport in the St. Louis metropolitan area?
Once again, I'm going to defer to the fire chief on that.
They provide backup emergency medical service for Northeast and Community, and they also do backup for St. Louis City, emergency medical services.
I have the backup part. Are they the primary EMS for anybody?
Not to my knowledge.
And any city of the size of 35,000 people?
Excuse me?
I think I made my point. No, we're good. So what were the references that we used for Gateway? Because my packet simply has a contract and a cover sheet. So what were the references that Gateway provided to us for emergency EMT services?
Madam Mayor, I don't have that list here, but I will gladly provide it to council.
But where would the references come from if they don't provide any emergency EMS in St. Louis?
As I indicated, Madam Mayor, I will provide that information to council.
It's nice that we're going to get the information after we vote tonight. Who's quit using them? Who has quit using them? Who no longer uses Gateway? Surely in this due diligence that we went through, we know who's using them, we know who the references are, and we know who is no longer using them. Who is no longer using Gateway?
Madam Mayor, once again, I'm going to defer to the fire chief.
As I said before, I'm not really sure who Gateway used. There's a representative from Gateway Ambulance here who could probably speak to that better than I could.
Well, and I'm happy to, but we keep nicking away at my time by everybody someone else having to answer the question. I mean, literally, we did the due diligence. We did it. Who are their references and who's not using them anymore? This is kind of basic 101 reference checking. No answer?
So there's no due diligence been done.
I would ask for members of the audience, please to not speak during the council member unless you choose to come to the podium.
Well, I think that answers itself for now. Let's go on to cost savings. It says in the packet I have that we're going to have $500,000 of annual savings. Where did these numbers come from?
Madam Mayor, council members have been provided with that information previously. They were provided with that information last fall.
Cannot hear you.
Well, let me try this. Is this better? Is that better? Okay. Council members were provided with that information when we had the study session last fall. Essentially, that number comes from largely on the basis of staff salaries with respect to what firefighters are paid, as well as vehicle costs associated with providing ambulance services.
Well, I have your email memo from September 23rd of 2014, where you talk about how much the city spends on the ambulance and how much the gap is, and it was $1 million gap. And now we have a cost savings of $500,000, not $1 million, $500,000, and it doesn't occur in the first year, it occurs after the first year. So we went from saving $1 million down to $500,000, and we don't start saving $500,000 until the first 12 months are up. So somebody's got to tell me where these numbers changed, because we do not have it in our packet. And some of my colleagues have said this is a business decision and it is about numbers. So tell me where the numbers are.
Mr. Crowe, your time is up. Mr. Crowe's time is up.
He hasn't
We
even
are now
answered the
moving
question.
on.
He hasn't even answered the question.
Mr. Crowe, you had 10 minutes and 6 seconds. You will have another chance to speak. We have the rules in the chamber. We are following the rules. I reiterated the rules before our meeting started. Council members know the rules. I will add that council members also know they could ask all of the questions so far as tonight, and Mr. Walker could have come to this meeting prepared to answer everyone if they had been asked
When?
ahead of time.
Madam Mayor, when would I have asked them?
During the past year that
During
this
the
has
past
been.
year, we got this contract Thursday night at 9
Mr.
o'clock.
Kraft,
Just
I
not
asked her-
tell me that
Suspend
I
the
had all
rules,
this
Madam
time.
Mayor.
Mr. Kraft
I
is,
asked to
has the
suspend
floor.
the rules.
Miss-
You have to rule.
No, I am not willing to suspend the rules.
Appeal from the chair, decision of the chair.
Get immediate vote.
Appeal from the decision of the chair.
Okay, we will move. Mr. Crowe, you have 5 more minutes to your time, or I'll give you 8 to count for Chief Adams' responses.
So we had cost savings in September of $1 million. Now we're down to $500,000. Where does the number difference come? That's not in my packet.
Madam Mayor, through to Councilmember Crowe, I'm not sure what document you are referring to, but I believe the way the report reads that I have in front of me, that cost savings will exceed $500,000 annually. Essentially, we're basing that upon staffing with respect to ambulance services. We have 2 firefighters per ambulance, 2 ambulances, that's 4 times 3 shifts, that's 12. If we take a salary of $60,000 plus benefits, it exceeds over $500,000.
Thank you, but in September of 2014, you said that the gap was going to be $1 million and that we had the potential to save up to or over $1 million.
That's correct. Will exceed over $500,000 and somewhere in that range of $500,000 to $1 million. I've outlined staff savings. And there also are equipment savings as well.
But they're not here. None of that is in front of us. And so that's why I'm trying to tell you, under this contract, I get the $1 million over here. I don't agree with it, but at least I had it. In the packet we got tonight, we have nothing other than 2 sentences. One is on overtime, and one is on $500,000 of savings. So to my colleagues, I hope that as you vote on this tonight, you say you're voting on this by the numbers. I'm not. Maybe you have different numbers than I do. If Gateway's 2 dedicated University City ambulances are both in use, where does number 3 come from?
Madam Mayor, through to Councilmember Crowe, Gateway has indicated that the way that it works now, if both University City's ambulances are in service, then we've got to rely upon some other municipality to fill in through mutual aid. Gateway has indicated as part of the contract that they will automatically provide us with another ambulance if 2 are already in service. And I believe the gentleman from Gateway can speak more definitively to that, but that was part of the discussion that we had with them.
But you said through mutual aid, and we don't have mutual aid anymore.
As I indicated, that through mutual aid, under the current agreement, if our 2 ambulances are in service, then through mutual aid, we rely upon Olivet or Clayton or some other city to provide us with an ambulance. When we no longer have mutual aid under this agreement, Gateway will do the filling in.
Correct. Where is number 3 coming from? Where's number 4 coming from? I mean, to someone who lives at Big Bend and Del Mar who has a car accident, you know that you got two ambulances coming from University City, you got 2 from Clayton, 1 from Ladue, 1 from Olivet, 1 from Richmond Heights. You at least know you're 2 miles away. At some point in time, the people in this audience need to know where their ambulances are coming from if 1 and 2 are busy. Where are 3 and 4 coming from? I assume this isn't coming out of my time. Okay, maybe my colleagues know the answer to that question. What happens right now when University City residents do not pay for their service? What do we do? What happens?
One of the items that we've noted in the report is that the billing is problematic in that we have uncollected accounts for a considerable amount of money, about $800,000. Essentially now, we are not in a position to collect some of that money because people choose not to pay. And so essentially the city doesn't get it.
And so what happens when Gateway doesn't get paid?
Well, Gateway will pursue those parties for payment. That no longer becomes a city problem.
And will Gateway be prohibited from refusing service to people who have not paid?
I believe they will, yes.
I mean, this is kind of a big one here, am I right? They're shaking their head no, and you're saying yes. So, you know, to my colleagues, come on now. I mean, really.
Some of
Ask people from Gateway for.
Can we please not have people in the audience speaking to the members of council? Mr. Crow has been advised that the representative is here, and if he would like to speak to the representative, he can ask Mr. Walker to bring him up. Please, members of the audience should not be trying to be part of this discussion.
I guess we'll bring them up then. Let's go.
Thank you. Where are we at? What's the question that you want to answer?
Start with where does ambulance number 3 come from when 1 and 2 are both busy? They want to know who you are.
Okay. Kent Ford, supervisor with Gateway Ambulance. Our plan is to, when one ambulance comes out of service, that we'll move a second ambulance into your city. And if both ambulances are out, we'll move a secondary, actually the fourth ambulance into your community. We have posts in Forest Park, as well as we're setting up a new post on approximately Olive and 170.
So where are they now? So this is all going to be new. We're going to have a whole new system set up for us for 2 ambulances in the city and 2 outside.
We'll have two ambulances that are scheduled to be in your city.
Right.
And for what we've been planning is that we want to have ample coverage and have them close, that when one of the primary ambulances does receive a call, we'll then be moving a third ambulance into your community so that
And that third ambulance is going to come from Forest Park or all of 170. It's not coming from someplace else.
at the time it may be, we do post ambulances all around the St. Louis city and St. Louis County.
Okay, and so let me take this to the next step. What are you guys doing on collections? And then I'll come back to a couple of others I've got. So University City, when we have folks who haven't paid their bills, the city manager says that we don't necessarily do a very good job of collecting at times, which we understand that's been an issue. Tell us about how aggressive you're going to be on collecting the bills and how you're going to be going back to homes who have not paid their bills.
Basically, our billing process is not unlike most billing processes, and that is, in this industry, 90+% is covered under insurance, about 10% is typically private pay. Quite frankly, we have a tough time collecting private pay as well. We have a pretty large write-off number at the end of the day. Our business, across our whole business, not just St. Louis, along with every other ambulance company we've been with. So we'll exhaust every opportunity, and depending on the case, if we can or may go to collections, but then it doesn't necessarily get collected either. That's the last.
Does our contract prohibit you from refusing service to people who haven't paid?
I want to make sure I understand the question.
Could you please identify yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Steve Costin. I'm the president of Procare. Gateway is one of our divisions.
And you're from where?
Louisville. the service. So it's not a company policy. It is a piece of, if you're operating under a license with an ambulance company, you cannot refuse services. So it's not like a policy. You can't do it.
So we don't have to worry about that at all?
Absolutely.
Never? Great. So what cities do you provide emergency medical transport services in the St. Louis area? What municipalities?
We don't.
None. So we're the test case.
From an EMS 911 standpoint, yes, it's a gateway, yeah.
And how many cities, 35,000 do you provide here?
I'm sorry,
I understand you're from Louisville, so I'm just asking, we're a city of about 35,000 people. How many do you provide emergency medical transport system in other communities?
all of southern Indiana, both Clark County, with the exception of New Albany, the city, but we do all that county. All of Davies County, which is Owensboro, is 911 contract with us. We also have Jefferson Town, J-Town, they call it, inside of Louisville municipality. That's a 911 service that we provide. We also have 3 counties in northern, outside of Indianapolis, that we provide 911 service to.
And when we have our 2 dedicated ambulances in University City, are they going to be available for non-emergency transport while they're in town?
Let me make sure, again, I answer accurately. Will they at times do non-emergent because it came through the emergent system? Yes. We will answer only 911 calls with those 2 ambulances. So the type of call is not determined by what comes through necessarily. It just depends on the call. So you have to be careful how you answer that. It will only be used for the 911 that calls.
Has Gateway signed this agreement yet?
Sign the contract.
Signed the contract.
Yeah.
And what is the start date for this contract?
September 1 was my understanding.
September 1. Wow.
That was as quickly as we could possibly.
Wow. That's an interesting bit of information. So currently we have 2 paramedics in University City under the contract. We're not going to have 2 paramedics. We're going to have a paramedic and EMT, am I correct?
In each truck.
Correct. And what is, I assume if we've got someone called a paramedic and someone called EMT, there must be a distinction in the services that they're able to provide.
Correct.
And they are what?
Paramedic provides advanced life support, where EMT is basic life support. The paramedic is in charge of all the care on the ambulance.
So right now, if we have a citizen who has a problem, we have two paramedics who can start an IV. We have 2 paramedics who can dispense medicine. We have 2 paramedics who can intubate. Under this contract, we're going to 1. All right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, the chief has a different thought.
Mr. Walker?
If I may, everybody, let me interject. I'm going to ask the fire chief to supplement that answer because we still, on life-threatening calls, will be sending a fire truck, which will have 3 or 4 paramedics on it. But the fire chief can explain that a little more precisely.
Excuse me. Currently, the way the system works, if we get a 911 call, based on the call for EMS service, we will send just a medic unit. If the medic unit arrives, like it's trauma, difficulty breathing, chest pains, cardiac arrest, or whatever, then we will send a pumper, an ALS pumper, and that means advanced life support. So right now, we have 3 paramedics on each fire truck. So they will be able to initiate care also. In the event that we get to the patient before gateway is that we can initiate care, we can do the drugs, we can do the IV, we can do everything that gateway will be able to do. So there will be no degradation of service. Like I said, depending on the nature of the call, it's just a simple sick case, we just send an ambulance. But if it's a trauma, we will also send our fire truck, which will have 3 or 4 paramedics.
And Chief, I understand that. I appreciate that. My question is, as a parent of 2 kids, I feel a little bit more comfortable having 2 paramedics on that first ambulance.
In the state of Missouri, in order for an ambulance to be classified as need one paramedic, one EMT. St. Louis City runs 40,000 calls a year. It's a city of over 300,000, and that's the way those medical units are run. Even for a pumper to be classified as ALS, you only need one paramedic. So we will not be short of paramedics. If it's a trauma, you're going to get gateway with an EMT and a paramedic, and then you get a fire apprentice with at least 4 additional paramedics.
Sure. And Chief, I understand that. I guess my question is, everyone keeps saying this isn't a degradation service, but I don't think we're buying this. Because at the end of the day, whatever City of St. Louis does, University City has 2 paramedics on every ambulance, and that's what we're used to. And now we're being told that this service is going to be better, but you have less qualified people.
They're not less qualified. Because all paramedics in the state of Missouri have to meet the same qualifications. Again, as I said, depending on the nature of the call, if it's an automobile accident, any type of trauma, we're going to get gateway, and the fire truck is going to come just like we do now. It'll be the same thing. So instead of having, if it's a trauma, instead of having 6 paramedics, we'll have at least a minimum of 5. So there's not a degradation of service.
Well, Chief, you're the expert. I disagree with that. I think we're going to have enough citizens who are probably going to tell you stories that will probably make a little bit of a difference on this, maybe. But it is kind of interesting as to why we're moving this along so quickly. The contract's supposed to start on September the 1st. Contract.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Crowe, Gateway wrote a draft contract, and then we go back and forth with our city attorney.
And so is the city attorney the only person outside of yourself who worked on the contract, or anybody else?
Yes, the city attorney. Oh, and also Mr. Bates also provided some.
Yeah, Mr. Pace seems to have been a regular participant in this process. It amazes me the depth of interest he has had and the influence he has had on this process. How did we get to a 5-year term on this contract? Personal service contract, 5-year term.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Crowe, consideration within 5 years was appropriate given the investment that Gateway would have to make in the University City to provide this service. And also it should be noted, since we are speaking about the terms of the contract, there is clear provision in the contract that for non-performance, the city can terminate the contract.
And what is the investment that Gateway is making? Because it looks to me like you're going to get access to $1.9 million worth of revenue in buildings. At least that's what the city manager showed us in September. So what investment is coming in if you're getting access to $1.9 million worth of buildings?
The purchase of the additional ambulances is a major capital outlay.
And we have to choose, so those aren't going to work, right? Once we have ours going away, what's happening to ours?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Crowe, no, we intend to keep our ambulances likely for at least 1 year, but if council chooses not to proceed with entering into this contract, we're in a position we need a new ambulance now, which is about $220,000, I believe. And also in a position within the next couple of years that we will need an additional ambulance for in excess of $200,000.
So we're going to keep the ambulances, but we're not going to use them. Will Gateway follow the same hiring and non-discrimination policies that University City follows?
I will let Gateway supplement this answer, but I will indicate to Councilmember Crowe and Council that Gateway has agreed that the fire chief will participate in the selection of the Gateway personnel who will serve University City, but you can add that to your point.
Because I don't specifically know the exact rules or whichever that you abide by. Certainly we abide by all the laws associated with discrimination. We are union shops when it comes to firing and whatnot. We know the contract and the language of the rules that we abide by.
previously, we've been known as one of the more progressive liberal communities in Missouri. I'm not sure that we have that reputation anymore, but I was wondering whether you are prepared to follow the same rules that we follow in hiring and non-discrimination. And I think we always want to talk about safety first, but I think this community also has a very strong interest in making sure that we follow the same policies that we adhere to.
Yeah, if someone would provide me with those policies, I can get you those.
We're actually starting on September 1st. I thought maybe they would have done that. Let's see. Next one I have is, I think probably, I have a couple of more questions, but they probably go off into a different tangent, so I may have some of my colleagues that want to ask a few questions themselves. I appreciate you folks coming. I appreciate you coming in from Louisville.